Hi, this is Tim Hayes with an experiment that you can do at home to prove that the Earth cannot be flat. There is a growing movement of people who are claiming the Earth is flat, and if you have met people or have become one of the people who believe the Earth is flat or are questioning the shape of our Earth, this experiment is designed to help. Basically what we'll do is we'll build a scale model of a sunset. Now, there are many videos on the internet explaining how the sunset could happen in a flat Earth, but if you look at them, you'll notice that they never actually build a scale model of a sunset, and so they don't understand the angles and the positioning of the sun and the shape of our Earth as they're related to each other. But we'll build a scale model with some string and some simple equipment to explain the nature of how a sunset would have to work on a flat Earth. And from there, we'll be able to see conclusively that the Earth cannot possibly be flat. What we have here is a kitchen table covered with a white tablecloth and a string representing the circular path that the sun would travel over a flat Earth, and a small flashlight to represent the sun that we have on a stand that we can position at various points on the string. The scale of the model is 3 inches for 1,000 miles, so a foot would be 4,000 miles. And the string is 75 inches long, or 25,000 miles, which is the distance the sun would travel at the summer solstice if it was going around on a flat Earth. To give you an idea of the scale, the wrinkles on the tablecloth are going to be taller than Mount Everest and higher than any commercial jet will fly, so nothing is going to be getting in the way of the sunset. In a flat Earth model, the sun travels in a circle around this string, and this would be noon on our day, and this will be about 6 p.m., midnight, and 6 a.m. And what we'll do is position the sun at various points on the string, and this is what it would look like around 9 p.m. when the sunset happened on that particular summer solstice. Now this string represents the north latitude of 23.5 latitude, which is the Tropic of Cancer, which is where the sun travels at its northernmost reach when it's going around in its path. So normally it's between over the equator between these two lines, but at the summer solstice it's going around this line, and this line is about 4,000 miles from the North Pole. So this is the line that our string represents. And what I'm going to do is put the camera down here at the bottom, and we'll show you the angles that the sun would make at the sunset so that you can see what a sunset would look like. So here you are looking at the side view of the table and looking across the Earth as if you were standing on the Earth, on a flat Earth. And what you have here is the North Pole, and the sun positioned at about 9 p.m. when it should have been setting on the summer solstice. Now you can tell from the angle here that the sun is still quite high in the sky. It's actually about 27 degrees in altitude, and it's nowhere near the horizon. Now the flat Earth proponents that have their different videos on YouTube explaining how a sunset will work evidently never built a scale model of a sunset, or they would see that the angle that the sun has at the time that it's supposed to set is nowhere near the horizon. Now they claim that as the sun moves farther away, it gets lower in the horizon, which is true. If I move it from, say, 8 p.m. or 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, it does get a little lower in the horizon, but not much lower. And that's because the radius of the circle it's traveling is basically the same as the height they say the sun would be, which they say it's about 4,000 miles. So what we can see in this model is that the sun's not getting anywhere close to the horizon. Now, if we think about the brightness of the sun, here's a brighter flashlight that may be shining at you at maybe where the sun would be around 7:38 p.m., where you know that you don't look directly at the sun when it's not going down below the horizon. When it's really close to the horizon, you can look at it. So here it is about 8 p.m., and then as we get over here to 9 p.m., it's still, get it up to about a foot off the table. This is still so bright. It's basically the same as it's going to be during the day. It's not going to be that much different. And if I bring it around here to midnight, where we're looking at it at the very back, I mean, it's not going to get any dimmer. There's nothing that's going to cause the sun to go dim and go behind the horizon. It's going to be bright all the time. So basically what we're seeing here in a flat Earth model is that not only is there not a sunset, there's actually no nighttime. because the sun being bright during the day doesn't all of a sudden become dim at night. It just goes a little farther away from us. And when you build a scale model, you realize it's not much farther away at midnight here as it is at, say, 6 or 7 p.m. over here. And you still wouldn't be able to look at it. So what is a flat earth proponent going to actually do about this? Well, they could argue two things. They could say, well, the sun's not really 4,000 miles in the sky. Maybe it's 2,000 miles. Well, if it's 2,000 miles, here we are about 6 inches off the table, still not setting, not even close. Get it down to maybe an inch, 300 miles, still not going to set. If we're going to actually get it to look like it's going to set, we got to get it down so close to the table that it's going to be about 130 miles, or maybe like 3/8 of an inch off the table. And then, yeah, it looks like it might set, but really, it's not going below the table. It's just sitting on the horizon, just like a sun would at sunset, when it's still quite bright. But even if you did that, what's going to happen when the sun travels around this summer solstice line and comes back at noon and gets close to you at noon? Well, if it's 130 miles off the table, and you're underneath that down there on the tablecloth, it's going to be absolutely huge. In fact, if you did the math, you'd realize that if the sun was 130 miles in the sky, and it looked about, if it looked like it was a half a degree here, which is the half a degree in angle over here, when it gets over here, it's going to be 54 times bigger. It's going to have an angle of about 27 degrees, 30 degrees, and it's going to fill 1/6 of the sky. So if you try to fix the flat earth model problem with the sunset by bringing the sun closer, then you've got a problem when it's going around that it's absolutely huge, which we know is not the case. And if you leave it up in the sky where they say it's supposed to be, it never gets anywhere near the horizon, no matter where you put it on the circle that it's going to be going around. So you can't fix this problem on a typical flat earth model. The only way you could fix it is to go back to the old model that the ancients had, where the sun actually went around the earth and shone on the top of the earth 12 hours a day, went behind the surface of the earth at night, and then at night was under the table or under the earth, and you couldn't see it at all. Then you have daytime and nighttime. But then you lose the concept of time zones. If the sun goes down below the surface of the earth, then basically it's daytime for everybody at the same time, and it's nighttime for everybody at the same time. But we know from international travel and from having family and friends across the earth that the sun is always shining on the earth somewhere. So that old ancient flat earth model just can't work. The only way that the earth can be flat is if the sun goes around the North Pole in a circle and shines somewhere on the earth 24 hours a day. But if it does, then it's got to be high enough so that when it comes overhead, its size doesn't change much. And if it's that high, then there's no way you can have night. So really, we've exhausted all the possibilities for a flat earth. It can't go behind the earth, underneath the earth. And if it stays on top of the earth, we either don't have any sunsets, or the sun is so close to the earth that it looks really small over here and really huge when it comes at us, around us at noon. So there aren't any other options here, folks. And there's nothing real ambiguous or strange about any of these facts. They're facts that we can check for ourselves, and there's no ambiguity or uncertainty in any of them. So what this proves is that the earth cannot possibly be flat. It has to be spherical and not flat, which I prove in an article that I've written on abliever.net. Give me a shout out there if you'd like to talk about it further. That's abliever, just like it sounds, .net, and the article is called The Circle of the Earth. Would love to take your questions and try to help further. Thank you.